Welcome, everyone, to the Arkaro Insights podcast. If you're a B2B executive looking for the latest ideas in change and innovation, well, you're in the right place. We're all about helping you deliver better results. Today, we're doing one of our deep dives. We're getting into some really fascinating source material, specifically an article called AI in Strategy, Why Implementation Remained Human. It's by Mark Blackwell of Arkaro. And our mission, really, for this session is to unpack this surprising paradox that the research highlights, which is that AI, it's revolutionizing how we develop strategy, no question. But the more powerful it gets, the more it actually seems to demand a human-centered approach when it comes to implementation.
It is quite a twist, isn't it? Because, let's be clear. AI's ability to analyze data, to generate insights, it's genuinely revolutionary. We're talking about processing things at a scale and speed we couldn't have imagined before. But here's the kicker, the really surprising part. The more brilliant that AI insight becomes, the more absolutely critical human collaboration and really robust change management become, for actually turning those insights into results that stick.
Sustainable results.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, right? What if the biggest threat, the biggest hurdle to these amazing AI-powered strategies isn't the technology itself? What if it's actually our ability as humans to implement them effectively?
Okay, so let's really dig into that paradox. Because you might think, okay, AI can chew through massive data sets, run endless scenarios, spot patterns humans would miss. Surely that solves a huge part of the strategy puzzle. And, well, you'd be right, partly. It absolutely changes the game for strategy development. Think about predicting market shifts, analyzing what competitors are doing, even generating completely new strategic options that honestly might take a human team months, maybe even years, to uncover.
Yeah, that's powerful stuff.
Imagine, like, a hypothetical company, Future Tech, right? They're drowning in market data. Their analysts are good, but they just can't keep up. Then they bring in AI, and suddenly Future Tech is seeing opportunities, identifying bottlenecks, even testing strategies in simulations, stuff that was totally invisible before. That ability to constantly scan and suggest adjustments, that's a huge advantage today.
And interestingly, that's precisely where the paradox gets even deeper. That very capability, the fact that AI can churn out faster, more frequent strategic updates, it doesn't actually solve the implementation challenge.
Right.
If anything, it intensifies it. If our strategies are evolving more rapidly thanks to AI, well, organizations need stronger human capabilities, not weaker ones, to actually translate those shifts into action on the ground.
So it's not just about the top-level plan.
Not at all. AI is brilliant at that high-level formulation, but it just can't bridge that really critical gap, translating the big vision into practical decision rules. Rules that make sense for every team, every person, throughout the entire organization. That layer, we sometimes call it the translation layer, breaking down the corporate vision into clear, actionable guidelines for everyone. That absolutely requires human facilitation. People figuring it out together.
And when you look at the numbers around strategy implementation generally, even before advanced AI, they paint a pretty stark picture, don't they?
Oh, they do?
It's almost like businesses often set themselves up for failure on the implementation side. Our sources point out that a shocking, 14% of employees actually understand their company's strategy?
14%.
Yeah. Which means, 86% don't really get it, and it gets worse. 71% can't even recognize their strategy in a multiple-choice test.
That's incredible.
And only 22% feel their leaders even have a clear direction. And look at leadership. Less than a third of executives can list just 3 of their company's strategic priorities.
Wow.
And maybe the most telling, 85% of leadership teams spend less than 1 hour per month discussing strategy.
Less than an hour.
So, is it any wonder that something like 70% of big transformation efforts failed to deliver what they promised? It kind of reminds me of those company all-hands meetings where everyone nods along and then walks out thinking, okay, but what do I actually do differently on Monday morning?
Exactly. And those numbers, they're not just stats, right? They really reflect a fundamental truth that, leadership experts have been talking about for decades. The biggest trap is treating a people problem like it's just a technical problem you can fix with a tool. Strategy formulation, the analysis, the frameworks, the planning, that often feels like a technical challenge. You hire consultants, you use AI, fine. But strategy implementation, that's what we call an adaptive challenge. It requires cultural shifts, changes in individual behavior, actual organizational learning. And in today's really complex world, just doing technical analysis only gets you so far.
So you need more than just analysis.
You need an approach where you try small things, you see what happens, and you adapt quickly. Sort of a probe, sense, respond way of working, not just sense, analyze, respond. AI is fantastic at the analyze part,
Yeah.
but that adaptive work, building awareness, creating the desire for change, developing the actual skills, sustaining it, that remains fundamentally human work.
So, okay, if AI is so good at finding the insights, what's the most surprising roadblock companies hit when they actually try to put these AI-driven strategies into practice? Is it really the tech or is it something else?
Yeah, well,
Because the source material is really clear. Implementation stays human. Think about any big change you've tried to make, right? Personally
yeah.
or at work. It doesn't just happen because you understand the logic or the data.
No, absolutely not.
It starts with, do I even get why we're doing this? That's awareness. Then, do I actually want to be part of this change? That's desire.
Residual.
Then, okay, do I understand how I need to change? That's knowledge. Followed by, do I actually have the skills, the capability to do it? That's ability. And finally, maybe the hardest part, how do we make sure this new way actually sticks? That's reinforcement. And every single one of those steps, well, it needs human understanding, real collaboration, ongoing support. AI just can't provide that on its own.
Absolutely spot on. The hurdle isn't computational power. It's profoundly adaptive, deeply human. There's what we call the translation challenge. Your big corporate strategy says what the goal is, but often gives very little guidance on how individual teams should contribute.
Like the how.
Exactly. Different parts of the organization have different bottlenecks, different constraints. Each level needs its own strategy framework that takes those big corporate goals, identifies their specific bottlenecks, and creates clear decision rules for their world.
That makes sense.
Then there's individual change at scale. AI can't build emotional commitment, that desire you mentioned. It can't foster the nuanced cultural understanding you need for effective reinforcement. And something often missed is cultural navigation and resistance as insight. Implementation success really hinges on understanding your organization's culture, the competing values, the hidden assumptions. These things resist algorithms.
So when people push back,
When people resist, it's often not just them being difficult, it's usually because they perceive a threat to something important. Their sense of significance, predictability, independence, belonging, fairness, you name it. If you look at resistance that way, as potential insight, it can actually reveal legitimate concerns, address those, and you often end up with a much stronger, more lasting solution. But that takes cultural intelligence, empathy, real collaboration, things AI just can't replicate.
so wrapping some of this together then, what does it mean for leaders, for organizations? The core problem isn't necessarily that our strategies lack analytical rigor anymore.
No, especially not with AI.
Right. It's more that they often fail to genuinely engage the human systems needed to actually execute them. People don't resist change just because they lack data. It's often more about lacking motivation or maybe a sense of autonomy, mastery, purpose.
Precise.
And this seems to be exactly where those traditional do-it-for-you consulting models can fall short, whether it's human consultants or sophisticated AI doing the analysis.
Yes.
As our source material puts it, they might analyze, interview, and deliver an impressive strategy deck. Everyone nods. 6 months later, the recommendations are gathering dust. Nothing's really changed.
That disconnect is painfully common, isn't it? AI can definitely boost the corporate strategy development side, no doubt. But it can't create those crucial nested strategy frameworks that teams need on the ground. Frameworks that translate the big objectives into practical decision rules, adapted for their specific context. This is exactly why an approach that worked with you, not just for you, becomes even more important in an AI-driven world.
The do-it-with-you idea.
Exactly, because it specifically tackles those adaptive human elements AI can't touch. For instance, the first step is always to truly understand. And that goes way beyond just data analysis. It's about grasping the unique culture, the stakeholder dynamics. It involves actively listening to resistance, treating it as valuable feedback, building that two-way awareness that's the absolute foundation for any successful change.
Okay, so understanding first, then what?
Then it's about moving to co-create. This is where you build that crucial desire for change through genuine collaborative ownership. Using tools like the strategy triad, for example, teams actually work together. They develop those nested strategy frameworks themselves, connecting the corporate goals to their specific bottlenecks and challenges. That process of real involvement creates a sense of ownership that is incredibly powerful for motivation.
Ownership, right. That makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. From there, it's about enable. This directly bids the knowledge and ability you mentioned earlier, but it's not just standard training PowerPoint.
Okay.
It's hands-on coaching, side-by-side support as teams navigate the real messy challenges of implementation. This builds the capability for those probe, sense, response cycles we talked about. Try something small, pay attention, adjust. That becomes essential as AI allows for faster strategic shifts.
So it builds the muscle for continuous adaptation.
Precisely. And finally, it's about sustain, embedding that reinforcement piece right into the organizational fabric. Through new norms, review processes, feedback loops, this transforms strategy execution from a one-off project into a living, breathing process. It builds the embedded capability to keep translating evolving AI insights into consistent action without, burning everyone out or fragmenting the culture every few months.
This really reframes the whole AI discussion, doesn't it? Instead of replacing human strategic thinking, AI actually creates the space, the opportunity for much more sophisticated human collaboration.
Exactly.
If we connect this back to, say, complexity frameworks, AI excels in what might be called the complicated domain, where good analysis leads to predictable solutions.
Right, where there are knowable answers.
But strategy implementation, that operates squarely in the complex domain, where solutions aren't known in advance. They have to emerge through experimentation, through collective learning, using those probe, sense, respond approaches.
You've got it. So let AI handle the analytical heavy lifting, crunching the market data, stress testing strategic options, monitoring implementation metrics continuously. That frees up humans to focus on the truly irreplaceable adaptive work, understanding the cultural nuances, building that collaborative ownership, developing the organization's capabilities, and sustaining the transformation through ongoing learning and adaptation.
So in a world where AI enables strategies to shift more often,
Organizations need stronger, not weaker, human systems for execution. The ability to rapidly translate those AI-generated insights into real organizational action becomes a massive competitive advantage. But crucially, only for organizations that have proactively built up these adaptive capabilities, the capacity for continuous learning and cultural evolution.
okay, so let's try and boil this down. What does this all mean for you, our listener?
Yeah.
I think the key insight, really distilled from the research, is pretty profound. AI is set to make corporate strategy development faster, more data-driven, more sophisticated than we've ever seen before. No question. But, and this is the critical but, this very advancement increases the need for human-facilitated strategy translation and implementation.
Right.
As strategies evolve more rapidly because of AI insights, organizations simply must get better at cascading these changes effectively.
Right.
You need robust frameworks to do that without losing coherence or completely exhausting your people.
The irony is really quite striking, isn't it? The more sophisticated our AI gets at developing strategy, the more we desperately need those distinctly human capabilities for implementing it. Success ultimately isn't just going to belong to the organizations with the fanciest AI tools. It'll belong to those that can skillfully combine algorithmic insight with collaborative human translation, turning artificial intelligence into, well, authentic organizational capability.
That's a powerful way to put it, turning AI into authentic capability.
So here's something to maybe ponder after this discussion. In a world where AI genuinely allows your core strategies to evolve, perhaps even monthly, how prepared really is your organization to cascade those changes effectively? Can you do it without overwhelming your people or fracturing the very culture you rely on?
A really critical question for leaders today.
Indeed. And if you'd like to learn more about Arkaro's do-it-with-you approach and how it specifically helps organizations bridge that gap between AI-enhanced strategy and human-centered execution, you can visit arkaro.com. That's arkaro.com. You can also find Arkaro on LinkedIn for more insights. And if you're interested in exploring a free consultation to discuss your specific challenges, feel free to email Mark Blackwell directly. His email is mark@arkaro.com.
Great resources there.
We hope this deep dive was helpful. Thank you so much for listening to the Arkaro Insights podcast. And please, if you found this valuable, do share it with colleagues who might also benefit.